So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michelle. So this week, we're going to talk about the power of visioning, the verb of it, and not just vision, which to me feels like a noun, right? So visioning. The quote we're going to start off with, in the leadership world, Drucker is a really strong leader in that. And his quote is, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And so my brain went a couple different ways when Roko brought up this topic for us to discuss. Is it's about the thing that I go back to, where focus goes, energy flows. So if we don't have a target, if we don't know where we're going, if we don't have a vision of what the future looks like, paint that picture, really step into it, right? We're not going to get anywhere close to that, because we're not going to be able to rally the troops ourselves, focus. We're not going to be able to let go of stuff unless we actually know what it is. The nuances, and what you and I talked about when I realized it wasn't vision, but visioning, is that it brings into my mind the concept of continuous improvement. So it's not just a one and done, but it's around, here's what it is. We get closer, further along the path to it, and we evolve it as the world around us changes, or we learn more about fill in the blank. And so I think the power in it is, I'm going to go back to a quote from Brene Brown that I heard from a leader, is to be clear is to be kind. And so that's the stuff that comes to mind for me when you think about the power of visioning and this topic and the quote that we had. So what's on your mind?
Well, so for me, whenever we're, having these topics, right, I try and think about, internalize it, and then think about how it impacts the work that we do, whether it's as a coach, as a leader, as a lean practitioner, or as a change agent. And so I'm always trying to connect those dots in my mind. And so when I first was thinking about this idea of the power behind visioning, it came up because I started running again. I haven't run in several years. Seriously, I haven't run in several years. And when I was young and in sports, visioning was one of those ways of helping me as an athlete get to where I needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a vision, the end goal, but the visioning was, how do I incrementally get there?
Mm-hmm.
To your point of iteration, right?
Yeah.
And so it started to pop up as I started, we're aging, but I don't want to age. So
No, we're not aging. We have more experience. Okay.
Yeah. So how am I going to get to be this athlete again where I feel good, and so it's that visioning piece of it. And then I started to think, okay, well, as a leader, how do I apply this as well? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we get so caught up in what's in front of us, the firefighting, mm-hmm. or, the short term, that we know what our vision is for the organization, but we don't necessarily think about how can we vision our way there through that iteration. And it's very motivating when you're able to do that visioning. And then I'm gonna put one more spin on it. As a coach, we're taught how to do different techniques to help our clients through visioning, mm-hmm. exercises, so that they can shift from their current way of thinking and feeling to some new perspective that they haven't ever thought of before. Mm-hmm. And visioning is a way of getting them there. And there's this, I was trying to think of the power behind it, and it's really this part of motivation and inspiration that you get as you start to see the visioning and think of all the possibilities and things like that. So that's
the word.
My mind was going.
That's the word that kept playing to me when you were talking, is possibilities. Because I think through the process of visioning, we were talking about, like, for me, it's, and I through coaching and everything else in myself, it's like, I coach people and I coach myself. Don't focus on what you don't want. Okay. Focus on what you do want. So to your point is like, I'm going to picture and visualize and vision, if you will, what it is. Part of it is going to be, what are those milestones, as you progress through stuff. And so you can vision to where you vision out whatever that end result thing is. And I'm going to make crap up right now because that's what I do. Let's say it's a year out, right? So, and this we learned in hypnotherapy too, is that picture the end result. You've had the best year ever, You're celebrating, colors are bright. What does that picture look like? All the details, all the colors, step into that. Then bring yourself back 3 months. What had to have happened 3 months before that to have that result that was a year from now? Bright, colorful, to come 3 months back from that. Same exercise. 3 months back from that, same exercise. So to your point, now you have the steps that you need to take, or at least the direction of the milestones that you need to hit that thing that you have in the future, versus saying, okay, great, imagine you had the best year ever. And then you go, great, have a great day. And someone walks away going, how the frick do I get there? But if you can use your brain to take those, and I'm gonna go back to Margie, what's a little bit better look like? Yeah, a little bit better look like. What are those pieces? And then you can start to say, okay, if this is what it looks like 3 months from where I am today, what are those incremental steps that I can take, to your point, to get there? Because it's not about you being ready to run a marathon
Exactly.
tomorrow, but it's about, you need to be ready. And again, I'm going to make stuff up. You need to be ready to run 6 miles. So if you need to run 6 miles and not be out of breath and dying, what does that thing look like to get you there? And once you're at 6 to 12 to, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So that you're not looking at this huge elephant going, I'm just going to circle it because I don't freaking know where to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the visions can be so far out, but they can also be so big that when you think of, how am I going to get there? It's so daunting that you're like, why even try? We're just never going to get there. But I loved the way you said, think 3 months back, then another 3 months, and then another 3 months. And then before you know it, you've got the entire year planned out of how you're going to get there. And it's not, the visioning piece isn't, when you're actually doing it and you don't get there to the 3 months, you might have to adjust, right? Just like we always say, but the power in actually thinking in those smaller bite-sized pieces allows you to create structure and out of chaos, or out of, this big audacious thing, into, manageable pieces that you can have success around.
Well, and you get, to your point, you get energized. So all of a sudden it's like you with running, right? And when you said that, in my head, I'm like, yeah, that is not me. Like I can never will someone be in a room with me, on the phone, whatever it is, and I'm going to go, I'm getting back to running. I would look around and go, is someone talking for me? Because those are not, I remember when I went to the doctor for a knee thing, right? And I had done the second ACL reconstructive surgery, and I had cartilage damage. And so he looks at me and he goes, now I don't recommend that you run. I'm like, not a problem. That is not, and he looked at me like I was going to be really bummed that I couldn't go run. And I'm like, no, not me. No, that is not the thing to worry about me. I can walk quickly, as you know, but we're not gonna be out running and miss that moment. But when you said that, I thought, okay, great, because you love it.
Yes, I do.
Love it, energizes you, everything else. And so if you think about people, how defeating it could be if you can't imagine a path to get you back to the thing that you love doing, right? Or being, the freedom, the stallion running out in the field, the wind on the mane, that's what I picture with you. Okay. But if you can't imagine ever getting back,
work on your imagery.
But if you can't imagine a path to get back there, it's almost like I'm going to admit defeat. And I think people give up on living their full life when they do that. But the whole visioning thing is around, you're sitting where you're at, and maybe you want to throw your hat in the ring for a VP role. And some people go, whoa, I can't even imagine. No, but let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Put the stake in the ground, throw it out there if that's really what you aspire to be. Don't be shy. So what does it look like to get there, right? And what's the first next step? Because that's the thing that people step in and you start to take ownership for whatever that end state is, because you realize I can do that. I mean, I can take that next step. So yeah. I love it. I love it. And again, I'm not running, but I'm right there cheering you on.
Right there with me.
Yes, I'm right there cheering, which is a topic for another podcast, right?
Yes, yes.
But yes, I'm right there at your side as your wingman or your peer buddy, whatever that looks like. So that is definitely a topic for another podcast, but I'm not running.
Yeah. So again, thinking about this visioning though, like if you don't have experience with visioning, like for me, I learned it through athletics as a young person.
Yes.
As a leader in an organization, it's not something I've ever seen a class on.
No.
So what are some thoughts that you have around leaders who haven't done this and how they might start doing this? I know you did the, back 3 months, but how do you even get started with that?
Well, that's because there's different ways you can play out that. So getting started with that is literally, you can just close your eyes and visualize what that future state looks like, and actually step into it. For those of you who are listening going, what? But it's visualization, imagination, right? So that's the whole visioning. There's a vision. So create it in your mind. And here's the thing is when we're visualizing things like that, some people go, it's not like real life. It's not as clear as it should be. You don't want it to be as clear as real life, because your brain's not going to be able to make the distinction between not real and real. Okay. So just know it could be blurry. It could be fuzzy. It could be thoughts. It could be feelings. It could be whatever it is. Right. But you set your intention to what that goal is that you want to do. You're running. Right. So if you're going to visualize, your vision is envisioning, I'm going to run, successfully running. I have the feeling that I had back when I used to run all the time, the joy, the freedom, the smells, all that stuff. Right. So you're out running, whatever that is. So you have that locked in. And then to the point is, and don't overthink it. Just imagine yourself back 3 months and think, okay, ask the question, what needed to have happened 3 months from that so that could be the vision and it plays out, and just listen to what comes to you. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And then again, 3 months before that, don't overthink it. And then when you're done, jot down some of that stuff. So what is the first step that you're going to take? So just do the first 3 months and then do it again. But I think that's as easy as it gets, a way to do it. The other with sports people, I have a client that, holy cow, she's doing skydiving. And I'm with my dad. My dad used to say, I am never jumping out of a perfectly good plane. Okay. And so what I told her when I was talking to her was, I would be the one sitting next to the pilot going, I'm going to see you guys on the ground. Because no. But this is her thing. And she's new at it and nervous, and the landing wasn't good. So from a coaching perspective, she's beating herself up over this thing. And so my thing as a coach is, you need to practice and get mental memory of what this stuff is. And that's where the whole runner thing is. So close your eyes and visualize you're successfully landing each time. What does that look like? What are those things that you have to do? You have to flash or whatever the words are that, but literally visualize over and over and over and over and over again that this thing is happening and you've got a successful landing, which is what athletes do with 3-point shots and, all the shots that they do, so that your body gets ready for that. And then the achievement of it's so much easier. So I think that's where, when you look at running, how are you preparing yourself?
Yeah, it's exactly it. I mean, I was thinking of all the things that I needed to have in place in order for me to get there. And from the simplest thing of, oh, I need to go out and buy some running shoes to the more like actually running. Okay, I'm gonna walk for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna run for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna walk for 5 minutes, and then run for 5 minutes until I can get to 10 minutes of
Yeah.
each. Then slowly decrease the walking and slowly increase the running until I'm running all the time instead of just walking.
So you have a plan in your mind. So when you think about visioning, and the thing is actually the plan, right? To get to it, you imagine that it's what I'm gonna get to. And I think that's part of it too. So if you visualize like the hypnotherapy one, that you're coming back, your timeline and do all that stuff. So in 3 months to get to this thing that you're at, because you have a goal that you're going to be at in whatever period of time, that you're incrementally building up to what that thing is. Right. James Clear in Atomic Habits talks about reprogramming yourself to come from where you're at. And the guy that lost 100 pounds, and he started out with making the commitment to himself that I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm just going to make it up every day. Okay. So literally for whatever period of time, a week, a month, whatever, he went to the gym every day, drove to the gym, went to the front door, turned around, go back in his car, and left. But he started programming himself to do this. And then he would go stay for 5 minutes and do that. So I think the lesson in this thing is there isn't one way. There isn't one way to do this. I think the power in doing it is what works for you, that you start to get results based on what other people have done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
So,
I like this idea of programming. I know you were getting ready to ask me what the one thing was.
I know, but you're not
so I'm just going to cut you off, Michelle, like I do sometimes.
You're not
I get so excited.
Well, we're not going to go there if you're not ready for it. It's going to close the door.
I was visioning that you were going to ask me that question.
Okay, that's great. You're that. Okay, I'm not ready. Okay.
No, I think my takeaway. No, I think my takeaway is just what that last comment that you made was, if you're someone who's just getting started with visioning, think of those programmatic things that you can do incrementally and just start doing them. Even if it's not, you can't tangibly see that it's getting you closer to that vision, it's creating that habit and starting to shift that mind and preparing you to get to that stage of where it'll start to make some difference towards your vision.
Yeah. I went a lot of different places, and one of them is, encouraging people along the way, right? Because there's the vision, there's the taking action on the vision. The visioning part is the, what's possible and all that, instead of saying, no, it's not. I think the thing that comes to mind for me, and it's a theme recently in leaders that I've been coaching and engaging with, is as you're going along, you're going to have stumbles, setbacks, things that didn't go as the vision played out, air quote. That's not a sign that that's not the way, or defeat or whatever, because defeat is like done, through the towel in. I think the thing for me that stands out is celebrate the incremental improvement and the changes that you have along the way, every frickin' one of them. So if for some reason you're able to walk whatever distance and you weren't before, and even though you're not running at the level that you thought you were, if you've got progress, please celebrate it. Because that's the thing I think is the hardest thing around vision, which is so inspirational, and visioning, which creates these possibilities in you, is if you think that you failed, right, or are a failure, that label that you put on yourself, it's hard to dig out of that. Yeah. So for me, it's like, celebrate it. Think big, vision massive, vision. I mean, like, sky's the limit. And if you fall short of that, so what? Yeah. But keep going. So I think that's the thing, is celebrate it. Don't get defeated, you know, because dream big, vision big, visioning big, whatever the heck it is. So anyway, I appreciate this topic. It's an interesting one because it went several different. So yeah, so visioning is action. Vision is a noun.
Yeah.
So the power in visioning is action. So until next time, this has been Leadership Soundbites for the Power of Visioning with Roko and Michelle, and have a great one. Thanks.